medical report today. So Alvin was a DMP with the knee and ankle. Tolly was limited with the ankle. Devin was limited with the ankle. CO was limited with the back. So those are just the 4 guys listed on there. Obviously, from a roster standpoint, made a few moves yesterday. Obviously, the one that's going to be noteworthy is releasing Blake. We signed Cade to the practice squad, and obviously we'll let Cade and Charlie kind of go through this week's process and make a decision on the back end of the week and be ready to roll. So.
And how did Blake factor into that? I mean, was there anything yesterday that could have sounded like you guys kind of made the decision that you needed to change?
I mean, we talked through it. It was going to be an evaluation process for those other 3. See how that thing went yesterday. Felt like there was some good work in there for those guys, and so felt comfortable with making this move. It's not easy. I think the world of Blake. He's going to be a really good kicker in this league, and if you look at the history of a lot of kickers in this league, they have maybe a moment similar to this where they got to navigate something. They respond really, really well. He's going to kick in this league for a long time. He's going to have a ton of success, kind of navigating this.
But do you like the idea of it being a 24-year-old who you can evaluate over these 6-7 weeks and like more of that developmental aspect?
No, that's a good question. I think you can kick in this league for a long time. We do feel like at the end of the day it was the best decision for our team. Felt like Cade kicked well yesterday, and so I think that's the most important part of it. We felt like he kicked well, earned the opportunity. It wasn't necessarily an age thing. It was felt like he kicked well, and Charlie has kicked well, and so we got 2 guys that will continue to develop here.
6 straight games, y'all have not reached 20 points. No offensive touchdowns last week. Obviously, not what you're used to. Where does fixing that start? What has to be the launching point for getting that done?
Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously, that's not the formula. That's something we got to do a better job there. I think it starts with running the football on first and second down and having the ability to, be consistent in that element. You got to be more efficient on first and second down. Put yourself in, obviously, more favorable third downs, and then ultimately finish drives with touchdowns. And that's the most important factor of this thing. And we haven't been able to get that done consistently enough. We've had moments. I think that's the thing that, there's individual players that have really good moments, individual drives that have really good moments. It's just about the consistency and the details of being able to perform at that high of a level for, and sustain it over the course of a game and drives and all that stuff.
If he wasn't able to go or if he can't play Sunday, how confident are you in Devin? And based on what you've seen the past couple of weeks, how has he grown as a player in this offense?
Yeah, I think Devin's doing really well. He's progressed really, really well. Once we lost Kendre, he was ready to just hop up there and take advantage of opportunities. I thought protection has always been a strong suit of his, and he's shown that from going all the way back to college. This past game, the thing that you're most excited about is, he made some plays. He made some explosives off of simple check down plays where he was able to gain some yards there. Had a nice explosive essentially on a screen, and so there were some positive plays in there. I think his confidence is growing. And you're excited about him as well as these younger guys. We signed a couple guys during the middle of the season that we feel good about as well that are hopping in here, and they're ready for the opportunity as well.
When your personnel changes, like specifically a receiver, she goes, like, does that change your philosophy of like what you're putting in, how you design, and how you want to attack? Like, how does that affect like the global picture of the offense?
Yeah, there's always little nuances that change as the personnel changes. There's certain things that she does that are really, really special. And so, at the same time, Tip, I thought did a bunch of really good stuff in this game. I thought his ability to hop in there, play a bunch of snaps, and, I thought he won on some routes, whether the ball came to him or not. I thought there's some evidence to support that he had a really good game. Vele's continued to play this really, really important role for us, and that'll continue for moving forward for a while. And so he does a ton of stuff in the run game, the action game that it will provide, and then I thought he made some really good contested catches in the middle of the field. And so, those guys all have different skill sets, different opportunities, and so, we just got to adjust as we go.
What are the other ways that you sort of identify progress for players in that situation that might not necessarily reflect on a scoreboard or a record? What are you
I think for the younger guys, just their comfort level in the system, their ability to communicate. I think that's always a sign when they can communicate with their guys. That's a sense that they really know the responsibilities and they know what they're being asked to do, and you can sense that. And then I think it's just all the little. I don't think it's a rah-rah speech. We don't need to have these big rah-rah speeches by individuals and ask Tyler to go up there and do a Newt Rockne thing or anything like that. It's how they lead. When they're breaking down the period or when there's a mistake that happens on the field or there's a correction or hey, I want this route a little bit different. All those little nuances, when you get guys that have that comfort level to communicate at a really high level, I think that's the most important aspect of it.
This might be confirmation bias, but it seems like every time you guys do a drive where you kind of go under center and you're like, we're going to go heavy, run the ball, like, it's been really successful. Like, why doesn't that blend? Like, is that hard to blend in with? Like, is that circumstantial, or like, why isn't there more of that?
Just under center game in general.
Under center game in general, just kind of like, that approach. Like,
Yeah.
it works very well.
Yeah, no, I think under center games, obviously, there's a lot of positives to it. The ability to run the football, you're not, leaning into which way you're running or not running. Tying the pass game is always important. There's a protection component of it when you're under center that you have to be a little bit conscious of. But I think we've added it as we've gone kind of the last few weeks. And so I think, probably you've seen us play more under center lately, and we'll probably continue to do that. I think the bigger personnel definitely provide you that opportunity. Obviously, third downs are third downs, and some of the passing situations, you're going to be a little bit more gun-oriented there. But I think it's been a fun thing that we've been able to add to it.
Hey, about the game last week, you spoke to us after the game about, kind of how it went for you and your evaluation with it. Just now having some time away from it and being able to review, what are some of your takeaways from Sunday's game?
Yeah, I think just from a whole offensive perspective, I think we moved it well. We just had some of those situational stuffs on the goal line. I think that stood true after watching it. Obviously the fumble early on with the kind of the miscommunication with the handoff, with the fake play action, was tough, and just got to make sure we ensure that. And then, but overall, I thought it was some positives. I think some stuff I can learn from, just from some eye discipline on some certain routes. But I think stuff to build off of. But at the end of the day, it wasn't good enough. We didn't score any touchdowns when we had those opportunities. So it was tough looking back at it because we had those chances.
Can you break down that eye discipline aspect? Like, what are you talking about?
Just a couple ones as far as some of the play actions. I think there was some really good where maybe they're sinking out and you can check it down. There's a couple ones where on a third down, the one to Olave, he kind of broke up where the safety started down low. As I'm stepping up, he went back late, and then just making sure I'm keying him so I can dump it off to Juwan. Just like, we had the play a week prior and just kind of go through that rep the same. So it was a good play. But yeah, stuff like that to where, third downs, those can be crucial. So but I think a lot of good stuff. And then I think the thing that just stood out the most was when we have those chances in the red zone, you have to be able to capitalize on it. Otherwise, you're not going to win. So that's kind of what it just came down to.
It seems like you do a good job, like, throwing the ball early. These guys are, like, just coming out of their breaks. Like, what are the keys to being good at, like, throwing with anticipation?
Just trust and just reps. I think as the reps continue to build, especially with some of the guys, I think it's just going to continue to hopefully get better. And like I said, whenever you can, tie in your eyes with your feet and be dialed there, good things happen. Whenever maybe you get a little bit off of it, and obviously it's human nature as the game goes on, you want to still be firm. And that was kind of the stuff that I continue to learn from. Whenever there's maybe a errant throw, I think Juwan had the diving catch on that one, and maybe if I would have maybe stayed in there a little longer or had a little bit better footwork putting it on him, he might dive for the first down. Little things like that where you can kind of shore up and but yeah, just trust and anticipation, and got to continue to do it.
Are you kind of like reading them? Like, is there going into like their body language? Like, I guess is that like the chemistry and playing?
100%. Yeah, each guy has unique body language whenever they're making their cut or whenever we're running this route. So you're anticipating that, but also a lot of the times it's just trusting what the defense is showing you and basing off of that window or based off of that read. And sometimes you can't even really see them. So it's just that chemistry that you kind of have to build and continue to grow.
When you're going against a defense like Miami's, it was a lot of the messy picture, post-snap rotation, change stuff. Like, what are you looking for to kind of help you be able to navigate all of that?
All sorts of things. I think anytime you can get keys in from the front, the personnel groupings, what the safeties are doing. Obviously, their nickel's really, really good, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and I think he's a really veteran player. So there's all sorts of clues that we're trying to pick up off of, but that's also what they're really good at. So you kind of have to some elements of just trust what you see and find your completions, take your shots, get the run game going. So it's a kind of an all unified effort from that standpoint. So they do a really good job of that, and they've been playing really well on defense. So we have to be up for the challenge and go out there and attack.
How do you assess kind of the 215 play drives, only 3 points, but like the ball control element, like, is there a lot you look at as you want to, like, that's how you want to play, you look at the red zone and kind of separate it, like, how do you view that as you just kind of wait for it?
Yeah, I mean, exactly what you said. I think you want to be able to sustain drives and control the ball. You know, I think all those things were really good, but you just kind of leave with a sour taste in your mouth when you can't finish it. So it's part of it, but at the end of the day, we're not satisfied with it. So you have to be able to do that, and I think you just look at those specific plays because you don't know. You know, that's kind of what I've been trying to preach to the guys is just you don't know what play is going to be that's going to be the difference maker in the game. So trying to be dialed even when we're doing walkthroughs every single rep. So you may only get one rep or you may haven't had a rep of it in weeks. And, you know, there were some plays that we hadn't repped in a while and they were great for us. And so you have to, you know, we all have to continue to be dialed there because, you know, we want to get in the box.
When he's in the headset, when he's talking to you, is it largely neutral or is he, I mean, look, when he's here, there's so much positivity to his personality. Is he giving you positivity or is he giving you sort of analytic neutral?
Very neutral, very neutral. I think even after the early fumble, it was like, man, he was like on the sidelines, like, yeah, you know, it sucks, but like, we'll get right back to it. Just keep playing your game. I think that he does a really good job of that. I mean, he played the position. There's nothing to, it's either neutral or positive. I think with him, he understands that from the quarterback perspective. It's like, you know, I can't physically block, you know, a 300-pounder. I don't have to gear up mentally or physically for that. You just kind of have to go back to boom, 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 boom. You know, how can I motivate the guys that way? And I think he has that same mindset. So I obviously, you know, who we are in media is not exactly who we are, you know, on the sideline or in real life, you know, call it what it is. But he does a really good job of being neutral and still being positive to the guys because you have to be that way.
Go to Thanksgiving dish?
I grew up in the traditional white family with the stale turkey, so I don't want to say that. You know, I remember having some Thanksgiving with some of my teammates, and I went back home one time. I was like, man, this is really tough. Like, why do I? Yeah. But it's like I ate this, you know, and I would probably have to say sweet potato pie or mac and cheese is probably like my favorite sides. And I mean, I like turkey ham, stuffing, all that stuff. So I'm a big Costco pumpkin pie guy, we'll say. Yeah.
And you go stuffing, not dressing.
I do it all. I'll do both stuffing, and then I'll do the gravy. Or are you saying is that like the?
No, people argue about the.
Oh, the terminology.
What they call it.
I got stuffing. People call it dressing here.
Yeah.
Okay. Praline, praline type of a deal.
Well, yeah. One of those as well.
Yeah, that's right. Praline. Yeah. Yeah, I'll start calling it dressing then. Appreciate it.
So cool. I was actually just talking, the guys that are interviewing me before this. I stood in the indoor yesterday, and my dad had texted me when I told him I was getting the workout. He's like, wow, you've had a lot of really cool moments in like New Orleans. And I didn't really think about it. I was kind of like, yeah, Dad. And I was just answering people. And then I get into the indoor yesterday, and I've kind of had these moments all year where I've been asking God, like, man, is this really what you want me to keep doing? Like, I keep hearing from you and from other people, like, this is like what I'm supposed to be doing, going into prayer and stuff like that. And it just didn't feel like it because, like, man, I'm still at home. I don't have a job. You're telling me to do something almost like if you ever read Joseph in the Bible, like God tells him like he's going to be, his brothers are going to serve him, and he's like, all right, and then he goes into slavery for like, I think it's 12 years, something like a long time. And it kind of felt like one of those moments where like, you keep telling me I'm going to do this. And then I get into the indoor yesterday, and I remember all the moments that I've had in New Orleans. Like, this is where I tried out for LSU and got offered, and this indoor over here is where I won a national championship my freshman year. Like, I'm from, or not from Louisiana, but played here, had a local day here, like just like a lot of cool moments. Got drafted, and I was over in Baton Rouge, like all these like really cool moments, and I kind of just like am able to like all of a sudden I see where God's been moving all these pieces, and I'm just really excited to be here.
Yeah, I think I've grown a lot. It's been a journey this past 18 months. Originally, from when I started kicking to getting signed, it was only like 6-7 months. And then you have all this time into working your craft and, try and just make yourself as good as an athlete as possible, as professional. And I have to credit Blake, with a lot of that as well. Just watching how he goes about his business and how professional he was and how he looks after his body. I've learned a lot from him on that, and I really admire him as a professional, and he's going to get another shot because, let's be honest, he's missed 3 kicks since he started somewhere in this building. It's crazy numbers, so he's definitely going to get another shot, and I look forward to that happening for him.
I know it's impossible to gauge, but how much better do you think you are than you were at the end of August, much less a year ago?
Yeah, it was. I definitely feel like I've made a lot of improvements. Even just getting some coaching throughout the season as well. I went to Dallas for a while, and then it was good. Made some adjustments and other things they got, and I was really grateful for the organisation to let me do that, and I feel a lot better for it now.
With Dallas during the season.
Yeah.
You remember when that was?
It was week 9 or 10. I think it was the Rams week.
Okay.
So
what'd you do there?
Just went and got some coaching and just worked on a couple of things, and I was pretty happy with that one.
With who?
Morgan actually. So me and Cade actually we kicked together one of the days there, which is funny. Now we're here again, so it's pretty funny.
And how long were you there for?
Just so it was a week.
Yeah. Is there anything about this season that has surprised you or made you feel rejuvenated, or?
Everything has surprised me. I'm sitting at 2-9 here. I honestly thought we had potential to be playoff bound, which I think we still have a chance. We just got to win out, and everybody else has to do what they've been doing the last couple weeks, lose out. So I mean, as long as there's a chance, I'm never going to give out hope. But that's what I started with. I started with the most hopeful because I saw the potential. In this part of the season, again, we're missing 3 offensive linemen per year. It's like the usual the last 3 years. Half the line is gone, and we have to create these established drives. It's hard to do so with new bodies. A lot of things have surprised me. In terms of re-energized, no, I was re-energized last year.
You are?
Yeah, I was. I didn't think so. I was like, yep, they're trying to put me past you. And I was like, fudge that. I'm here. And I got enraged, and once you get enraged, you realize it comes from a place of passion. And I was like, no, I got too much love for this game, so I have to figure that out soon.
This defense as a whole, it's kind of getting comfortable or adjusting to
You can't get comfortable at 2-9, but yes, we're getting comfortable. We're getting more familiar with our defense.
Yeah.
You say the first 4 or 5 games, we had a couple leaking holes. We had to figure out where to fix that. And since then, I'd like to say we've been sort of a top 3rd defense. Even this last game, I don't know what the yards per carry were for a guy like Bijan, but they weren't super high. He did more out the backfield than in it. Headed to this week, we got another task at hand with H-N?
H-N.
I've heard it 4 different ways, so okay, yes.
What is if the opportunity comes this week, what does that mean to you? Just get a chance to go out there and show what you can do?
Yeah, I mean, it means everything. I love this game. I love these opportunities, and this is what I've dreamed of my entire life. So now that it's here, possibly, we'll never know. I guess until it gets to that,
Friday
or whatever it may be. But I'm definitely excited for it nonetheless, and I'm gonna take every advantage and take heat of the moment, and just be out there and play the game that I love.